Don't use it next time.
What is going on, everybody? Just hopped here in the meeting room. I'm helping a few people in the back end that are having a little bit of trouble with getting access in here. But it should just take just a couple moments and we'll get started. See, Cortez is in here. Thanks, bro, for being here. Super excited to talk to you, man. It's gonna be our first time talking in years. I'm hype about that. Also see Charlene. I don't know who Thrifty Wife is, but hopefully you are a wife who is thrifty. I'll be here all night. But no, we'll be getting started in just a few minutes. What is going on, everybody? How's everyone doing? Let me change my audio because I don't know if anyone's talking, but I can't hear anyone. So I'm going to change my audio quickly. Bluetooth and other device settings. There we go. All right, Charlene, I see that you're off mute. So can you say something?
How about that, good brother? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly fine now. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Boom, boom, boom. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Good stuff. So I am very, very excited about this this conversation. Man, so excited to see the bro looking good, looking healthy, looking stylish, all that good stuff. Yeah, very excited to have this conversation. To something that's been really important for me is that on Thursday nights, bringing people on who are more senior in the tech space. So I was trying to help other people get on. I don't know how this is going to go moving forward because more people keep joining the Patreon community, but it's always like 5 or 6 people that are here, but it's like 42, 43 people that are part of the Patreon. So I don't know if everybody's watching the replays. They just want access to watch the replays, or if it looks like some people are having trouble getting into these live meetings. So y'all can let me know. I'm probably going to do a poll and post it in the Patreon community, seeing how everybody feels about these Thursday nights being shared like the following week on like YouTube and other social media platforms. So still keeping it exclusive. for you all to be able to watch in real time, to be able to ask your questions, be able to even hop on camera and ask myself questions or any of my more senior guests like Tez that's on here. But maybe sharing the video like the following week, like so other people can kind of watch it and gain some kind of value and be able to determine from that if they actually want to join the community. Because one of the things that people don't really know what they're going to get out of it when everything is like kept private forever. But I'm going to think through it. I'm probably going to put up a poll, see how everybody that's a part of the Patreon community feels about it, or if there are other suggestions that could be given. Because to me, I believe it's important to make sure that the value that's given up front is to people that are paying. Yeah, it's $7, $12, whatever. But it's like, again, people, you could just tune into the Monday Night Lives, watch that. So I want to make sure that I am giving you all priority and also giving you what it is that matters to you. You said the audio is choppy. Let me see. Okay. How do I sound to you, Tez? I sound fine. Okay. So I'm a sales engineer with this company. So I'm their technical specialist. So technically right now I should try to tell you, I should ask you, I would send over a network test for you to see like how your network is running and tell you what network that you need in order for this to be most quality for you. But one good thing we do have, so if the audio is choppy, everybody who's on here, if you actually click down in the bottom right-hand corner, it'll be my left, your right, my left, your right, where it says VI or VI meeting notes. When you click on that, it actually brings up the transcription of the call. And it even highlights, so it'll highlight while I'm talking in real time. So if you're having trouble hearing, you can actually look at the transcript while you're also listening, a kind of like caption on the screen, and it'll highlight whenever someone's speaking. So when Cortez talks, it'll highlight that it's Cortez that's talking versus when I'm talking. So that's the only kind of quick workaround or quick fix that I would give. All right, cool. Good stuff. Yeah, so super excited to have this conversation. Just a couple more things I want to say before we get rocking and get started is that, yeah, so I mentioned this before that the goal, and this goal will be coming down the pipeline very soon, is to eventually build this out to where there is an actual like podcast version of this. So that's what's being built out. So guests like Cortez, luckily we live in the same state, not too far from each other, unless he's moved up somewhere in a part of town that I can't afford. But no, unless he lives somewhere else, we probably don't stay too far from each other. But the goal is to actually rent out a studio and turn this into more of like a real life podcast platform, something a bit more quality. And so that's the eventual goal as to where it's going to build out to. Still trying to figure out, okay, a flow. Obviously want to bring people on that are very wise and knowledgeable when it comes to the tech space. He said over in Villa Rica. Well, that's actually where people are able to get good deals and good prices and stuff. There are big houses out there, but that's actually where people go that are smart with their money. So, but then again, he might be out in Villa Rica. Who knows? Yeah, it's a very nice area. So there's a lot of things that we are planning and that we're working on building out of what we're trying to do on the back end to make this better, make this doper, make this cooler. Please let me know any suggestions that you have, even on the Patreon. Understand that in the Patreon, you can comment things on the Tech is the New Black page. You can message things. So any suggestions, ideas, again, any guests that you want to have on. Let's say you see someone that's in the tech space, you see them on social media, you're like, oh my God, this person is cool. Like, yo, I love their content. Feel free to hit me up and be like, hey, Cyrus, you should consider bringing them on as well. Again, this is y'all's community. What I'm trying to do is just facilitate this, bring guests on that'll bring value to you, and that we could have like really interesting, compelling conversations that hopefully can have some type of impact on your life. Either one, impacting your life in you getting into tech, or impacting your life of you just being knowledgeable and aware of things that are happening in the tech space that will eventually affect your life and affect the world that we all live in. So that's the goal. So feel free to send in messages, anything that you want to share to help kind of guide this ship. All right, super cool. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and officially introduce our guest tonight. So as y'all can see on his name on here, it is Cortez, his Instagram. That's so smart. I've never seen anyone do that. That's so smart. He has his IG on there, so no one has to ask. Literally, His Instagram executive_Tez. Y'all already see he official like a whistle. Executive_Tez. Y'all, I'm sure y'all remember a few weeks ago, I brought one of my homeboys on a couple weeks ago, and I was telling you a story. I want to see if anyone remembers his name. I brought a friend on a couple weeks ago. He's a mutual friend of Tez and mine. He actually introduced me to Cortez. I'm gonna look in the chat. I'm gonna try to think of something special to do for somebody who could think of his name. And so, actually, we'll even do it like this. Whoever, literally for the duration of the conversation, whoever's the first person to get his name and post his name in the chat, then we're going to think of something special to do. I don't know, but it's going to be something special, and it'll be something legitimately worthwhile. So it ain't going to be nothing stupid, like you just get a little shout out on social media. It'll be something actually worthwhile. No, it wasn't Carl. It wasn't Carl. So I'll tell the story, and I'll use the story to remind you of who the person is, and I'll also use it to branch over to introducing Tez. So I told a story about how it was a time of my life. It was about 12 years ago. I had no community. It actually was 12 years ago. I had no community in terms of men in my life, particularly men that were God-fearing, that were quality, that were good, all of those things. And I actually, a girl that I was dating at the time, she was like, hey, maybe you should pray about it. You should pray. So I prayed, and I was thinking it was kind of silly, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna pray that God like introduces me to some quality godly men. Because at the time, all I knew were women. And I'm a guy's guy. Like, I like being around men. I like men. Like, not in a weird way, but I'm a man. And so, yeah, thank you. Gotta do the thing. And so you say, oh, you remember now. Yeah, exactly. And so after the prayer, I went to the bus stop, got on the city bus, went to the train station, and then ended up bumping into a dude that was there. I was reading my Bible on the bus. He was on the phone talking to Jesus to somebody, and we ended up sitting next to each other. Like, first we saw each other at the bus stop. It was a crowded bus stop. Out of all the people that were there, we did not get on the bus at the same time. We got on the bus at separate times. We ended up sitting next to each other. And then I heard him talking about God. He saw me read my Bible. And then after he finished his call, I was falling asleep reading my word. He kind of tapped me and woke me up, and then we started talking. And he ended up inviting me out, I think that same night or the next night or the next day, to meet a group of guys. And Tez was one of the guys that were there. There are a few other guys who were there. Charlene beat you right to the punch, because y'all said that almost at the same time. Oh, that was crazy. That was crazy. That was good. So yeah, it was Derek. And Cortez is one of the people that I ended up meeting who really stood out to me. It was Derek, Tez, and there was one other guy. That the three of them were the main ones that kind of really stuck out to me. I can't even remember the third guy's name, but I remember his face very well. He was the swole dude, the swole light-skinned dude. And so anyway, was very blessed. God used that a lot to really encourage me. Didn't hang out with them a ton. I hung out with them about 4 times max. But through just hanging out with them, seeing the way they moved, them being like big brothers to me, seeing them now all married. I was at a few of their weddings, and just like even now, fast forward in the future, seeing like how God is blessing them, how they're still moving and looking healthy and looking great. It's very inspirational, very beautiful, very dope. So it's so crazy that now that I'm in the tech space, literally around this time, I end up not even knowing that Cortez was following me on Instagram. And he DM'd me something, and I usually don't check people's pages, but he DM'd me something. I can't remember what it was, but it was something I think tech related that had me like, oh, like, who's this dude? He must be in tech. And I went to his page, and I was like, bruh, like, what? Like, didn't even know he was following me. I'm like, this is crazy. And so, and then I didn't even know he was in tech all of these years. So to see that, not only are we able to connect, but to also see, man, literally what I'm trying to do now, wanting to bring people that are senior in, people like, people that are minority, Black men, Black women, and to see, man, this is such a dope opportunity. One, a great opportunity to connect with someone that I haven't seen in so long, but two, just to really have them unpack and share and unload a lot of knowledge and gems on us, and also for them to answer any questions that you have. So super excited. Just to kind of give a little bit of a rundown as to his experience in tech. Looking at, I'll actually go ahead and share my screen. I'll share my screen while I'm going through this. You don't mind if I pull up your LinkedIn and stuff, do you? All right, cool. I just wanted to check. All right. So, which one of these? I literally do this all the time. I share my screen. I'm always struggling to pull up the proper screen. Hopefully, I pull up the right screen. I think that's the one. All right, so we should be on LinkedIn. Hopefully, you see his LinkedIn right now. So just to highlight all the info. So this is around the time he and I met. So just to give a scope of the time frame, we met around this time, 2009, 2011. Small business product specialist. So we see the beginning of it, product. All right, we see the promotion. We see the promotion that happened. But then we see around 2014 to 2017, he was project management and pre-sales engineering. So that's crazy. That sounds like a combination of two different tech roles. Hopefully that's paying you both the money at the same time. It's like they had you doing both the work. And so, but then he goes from that to sales engineering. So this is crazy. Like, this is so dope. Like, his experience in tech is not just, it's not just vertical. It's also like horizontal in terms of his roles that he's done in tech. So he's done my job in tech. Shoot, he did it longer than I did longer than I've done it so far. So he's done my job in tech. He's also done project management. Even down here at the bottom, a product specialist. Not sure how much of an overlap that is with tech. We come up here, we see director of product management. That's huge. That's huge. Director of product management, and now strategic partnerships. And so y'all see he has been in tech. He ain't new to this. He true to this. Straight up. So please make sure that you have some good questions to bring to the table. Yeah, it was James. That was the dude, the super muscular dude, super yoked. So yeah, make sure that y'all have some good questions. And yeah, we're gonna have a really, really good conversation. We're gonna react to a few things that are happening in the tech space. I want to get his reaction, his thoughts on those things. And then yeah, we're gonna talk about it. So all that being said, y'all give a virtual round of applause. You can go down to the little emoji down at the bottom. Give a virtual round of applause to our guest tonight, Cortez.
Let's get it, bro.
Man, so excited to have you on here, man. So just officially straight up, man, how have you been doing?
You know what, man? I've been great, man. I've been great. Everything is good. I'm blessed. Man, rocking and rolling, man. You already know. I'm like this all day. Let's go.
Moving, man, y'all. I've been trying to get him on here for the past few weeks. I've been dropping the ball.
That's my fault.
With keeping up with communicating. Yeah, but it's good though. It's good to see him having things going on, being productive. Like literally, like looking at you and looking at some of the things you're doing. I truly feel, not just in terms of age, but even things you're doing. I'm like, man, I really want to be there at some point. Of course, I'm taking things, step at a time. But I love the fact that I really low-key feel like I'm spoiled, because I'm like, dang, like I'm in the tech space, and literally I was just thinking recently, I was like, yo, I really want to start building a community, not just this community, but I want to build like an actual tangible community, or like be a part of a community of people that are in Atlanta, that are in tech, that I can glean from, learn from, have that community. And the irony that God spins the block and brings it around to where when I was like, yo, I want a community. I want to be a part of a community of men that love God. I want to see that that's an actual thing. And then here we are 11 years later, and I'm thinking the same thing in regards to tech, and how it's like God did the same thing to spin it back around to where it's like, yo, Derek and Ted's in tech. And I'm like, this is so crazy. It's really wild how God works things out. But bro, So looking here, what made you? So I guess at what point? So looking right here at your calendar, your information on here. At what point would you say that you say that you transitioned over into tech? Because obviously there are some some tech-ish stuff going on here, even like product specialist. Not really sure how much that was tech related, but it's still tech-ish in a way. But also the tech space. This is something Derek and I was talking about, where he was bringing up the tech space was still kind of developing at that time in terms of it being called the tech space. So even though technology, IT, all of that has been around for decades, it hasn't really been called the tech space in a trendy way until around this time that it looks like you were transitioning. Now, bro, can you talk about your journey?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So first of all, man, I got to give you a shout out. I appreciate you bringing me on the platform. Appreciate everything you're doing. It's because of what you were doing that I realized, oh, that's Cyrus. That's my dude. That's my guy. And I didn't even realize I was following you until I actually clicked on your page, went through some of your posts, and I'm like, man, that's what's up. So I had to reach out, and I think I was showing you some props on something that you had posted, man. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Love the platform and happy to be here. So, but absolutely. So regarding kind of my transition, 2013, 2014 for me was a crazy year. It was a year that like I'd had my best financial year at that time working in the banking space, working in financial sector, right? I was actually just hitting 6 figures, right? So it was like, okay, good. I'm finding my stride. I'm finding my way. I might buy a house. Things are going well, but I really wasn't happy doing what I was doing. I really didn't have the work-life balance that I aspired to have, that I've seen other people in IT, in other industries have. So at the time, I decided I was going to make some extra money, and I was going to drive Uber in Atlanta. I was going to drive Uber on the side.
Dang, that was like in the early days of
early Uber days. This is actually days of Uber where you could actually make some good money. So I was making, $300-400 in a couple hours driving Uber, and then I go call it a night, right? So I was doing that on the side and then working in the bank as an AVP at Bank of America at the same time, right? So I was hustling, but my job then was to meet people, number one, earn some extra money, and then use that extra money to build up my exit strategy to leave the bank, right? So I had a plan.
Can you say that one more time? Because I love how you weren't just kind of bopping around, just like, I'm gonna try this, try that. It's like you had a plan and an exit plan. Like a lot of people don't even know what an exit plan is. So can you like say that again?
Absolutely. So I had an exit strategy, and my strategy was, number one, I need to meet new people. I need to meet people with different perspectives. So by me driving Uber, I only was essentially driving 2 areas, downtown and airport routes. And my airport routes, I was picking up executives, corporate people, picking them up, dropping them back off in Alpharetta, Villa Rica, Marietta, East Cobb, Johns Creek, Snellville, right? And I was picking up these executives, dropping them off. But the whole time I'm conversating, having a conversation about what you do, what are you into, what industry, right? So I was meeting people, number one. The second thing was I was looking to build extra money, extra revenue, so that way I can kind of figure out what I wanted to do. But I knew I might need capital to do it, or I might need some money to hold me as I transition. So Uber gave me that opportunity to make that extra couple $100 a day to be able to make those connections and build up that reserve, so that way I can transition out of the bank, out of a job that I didn't find fulfilling for me.
Yeah. Bro, that's wild. I love there's some similarity in our story. I was not at a bank. Was not hitting the 6 figures. Around that time when you was hitting 6 figures, I didn't even know what 6 figures were. That wasn't even a real concept in my head. But when I was Lyft driving, man, that's one of the things that inspired me. There definitely were different key things that God placed in my life that kept inspiring me about the idea to get in tech. But one thing that really made like kind of a trigger go off that made me like at least start looking into trying to code was, ironically, I kept picking up people from the airport. This was pre-COVID. Kept picking up people from the airport. And I remember I kept picking people up and I was like, oh, what do you do? And they were like, oh, I work in tech. And they would always be like, oh, I'm just in town to do a demo, or I'm at some conference here in Atlanta.
That was it. Same thing, bro.
So it's such a similarity with that.
Literally the same thing. The thing that changed me, the conversation that changed me was in 2013. It was at the end of 2013. I picked up a guy, picked him up from the airport. He was going to like Alpharetta. So long trip, right? We got like a whole 45, 50-minute drive, right? So we on the drive. He's asking me what I do. I tell him I work in banking, but I went to school. I don't know if you know this, in school in undergrad, I did business and information systems. So I had a lot of tech classes, database classes, programming classes, web design, basic things like that. So I kind of understood the basics of tech, and I did a couple tech internships when I was in college. Even though I got out and I went right into banking, I had that background in that base. So I'm having the conversation with the guy, telling him I'm in banking, but I'm telling him I want to transition careers and I'm thinking about getting into technology. So he says, "Oh, great. Someone like you might be a good fit at my organization because we deal in financial technology. And with your background in banking and in finance and in, the corporate banking, commercial banking industry, and you have an aptitude in tech because of your degree and what you studied in undergrad, it might be easy for you to merge those two together and join the financial technology space specifically. So not just look in tech jobs in general, but look at tech jobs within the fintech space because it may be a good fit for you with your backgrounds." So I said, "Man, thank you so much. What's the company?" So he told me the company he worked for was Fiserv. And Fiserv, if anyone on the call doesn't know, is one of the largest fintech companies in our industry, in my industry specifically, which is fintech, financial technology. So long story short, I started doing research. I saw Fiserv. I met another young lady who was in town for a demo. She was a sales engineer, also worked for Fiserv, and it just kept snowballing. I kept hearing more. I kept learning more. I kept researching. So long story short, I decided to take a class online, a tech class, just to kind of brush up on a couple of things because I had been out of it for a while. I've been in banking for a few years. So I took a couple online classes, Udemy, Coursera, things like that, right? Free classes or really cheap classes to teach
you was
myself
like
some
in
of the
there
basics.
doing a lot. Man, it's so crazy. Like some people today just do one of those things, like one or two of those things to get in tech. And it's like before you were even like really like all the way up in there, you low key, you were more like stacked up knowledge wise and even experience wise than most people even do nowadays just to get their foot into tech.
Yeah, dude. I even took it a step further and I read at Boston University, an IT project management course. So it's like a graduate studies course where you got a certificate at the end. So that was a paid course, like a few $1,000s. I actually paid for the course after I took the free courses that gave me the groundwork. Then I actually took the paid course once I kind of felt more comfortable. And all this is while I'm still working at the bank full time and driving Uber at night, right? So I'm taking the class. I actually set up a little desk in my garage. I was living in Marietta at the time, not too far from you. And I took the class at Boston. While I was in the program at Boston studying for my PMP, I said, you know what? I'm going to put my resume together because this job is really killing me. It's not where I want to be. My boss was like just really a terrible boss, really a bad, toxic environment. I was stressed out and I knew I wanted better for myself. I wanted better for my family. And I knew I could provide it. And I knew the vehicle now. I've identified the vehicle that I need to take to get there. So it's different when you don't know the vehicle. Now I know it. So I saved up some money. So I said, you know what? I'm out. So I put in my notice before I got my PMP, before I finished the Boston program, before I got the job in tech. I quit the job because I had a little bit of nest egg saved up and I felt comfortable enough to do it. I was going to step out on faith and I was going to make it happen. So I did that right there at the end of 2013. I applied for jobs. And in 2014, right at the beginning of 2014, is when I got my first job offer in the tech space. And it was for a company called D&H. And they brought me in for the interview and they said, well, you don't have any tech experience, but you got banking experience. You can talk the talk, because during the interview process, they were asking me technical questions about their application, about what I would do in this scenario, about how I would handle this. What do I think about this strategy? And I was able to manage the interview process and get enough in the interview process for them to say, okay, let's bring them to the next round. Let's bring them to the next round. You know what? Let's fly him out here. Let's fly him out here because the first two went so good. And then when I got there, they said, look, we're going to take a chance on you. And we're going to give you one of these two positions. The first position was an account manager. It was a technical account manager role. And it was really good paying, less technical, but really leveraging my customer service, client service, client support type experience, but a little bit of technical. The other role was a project manager, which was more technical project manager, technical PM on high scale digital banking projects for bank clients. So they didn't give me the PM job, but they gave me the technical account manager job. And the requirement was you had to move to Colorado for 2 years to accept the position at minimum. After the 2 years, you could live wherever you wanted to live within the company's sphere of locations that was acceptable. So I had to make that sacrifice. I had to make that choice. I got the job, but I had to move. So I picked up the family, moved to Denver, Colorado, lived there for 2 years, and I excelled, man. I took that opportunity. They let me in the door, and I ended up doing both. Like you saw on my resume, ended up doing both. So I ended up getting the other job as well, and I managed the PM role and the account management role at the same time. And I really learned a lot during that period. So that was my transition. That was my start in the tech space. And I think I posted this on maybe one of your posts that you had commented on. And that first job right out of the gate paid me like $115,000, my first job in tech. So I was going from making like 90, 95,000 in banking. And everybody told me, all my friends, my family, they all told me, when you're going to transition, you're going to have to take a drop down. You're going to have to, take a step back, and then you can come back up and you can build back up and what have you. But look, I said, forget all that, man. I'm going for the jugular. I'm stepping in. I'm not taking a bet. No, I'm going in, demanding what I'm worth. I'm finding an industry that's going to value my resume in finance and my aptitude and my desires in tech, and we're going to make this work. So fintech was a perfect combination for me because it valued my banking background and it allowed me to grow in my technical aptitude, and I learned on the job.
Bro, so I definitely, in a moment, I want to ask you some questions about fintech, but bro, I wanted to speak to a couple things you said that I think are crazy. So first of all, I think it's wild how it's so crazy. It's almost poetic how with the banking, how they were like, okay, well, you don't have any experience with banking, but we see you have some knowledge, like some technical knowledge. And so, we see value in that. So we'll bring you on. But then the funny thing is that when you were making the move over into tech, they were like, oh, we see you don't have any technical experience. They're like, yeah, you got technical knowledge. We see you don't have any tech experience. But you have this banking experience, and we see value in that. So it's really like poetic how everything like flowed. Like it flowed. Like it's like every piece was almost needed in order for those things to happen. That's wild. But then, bro, I love, so first off, I love the level of work that you put in just to get to this part of the conversation. Man, that's dope. Hats off to you. But then to take it a step further, one of the things that you had said about you moving to Colorado for that company, the company was like, hey, you're going to have to move to Colorado for 2 years. Man, most people today, even people that I know that are struggling financially and they want to be in tech, even for a job that's going to pay them, $115,000, which back then, even though that was 8 years ago, inflation, that would, that like today, that would probably be close to maybe 130,000, 135,000 because of inflation.
Right.
And so there are a lot of people today that wouldn't do that. And I've even noticed like some people that hit me up and talk about getting into tech, they're like, oh, I've noticed like people, like so many were trying to cut corners. And mind you, there are some, I guess if we can call them corners to cut, I wouldn't even call them corners. There are routes you can go, things you can do to get in tech. But it's like to some degree, like some people are like, hey, I want to do this tech boot camp. I don't want it to cost anything. I want them to give me a tech job. And I also, when I get a job, I also only want it to cost me like $500 or something.
And I don't want to move.
Like, what?
And look, and they don't want to move. They want to stay where they at. They want to live in their current city, and it got to be free. Like, come on.
Yeah, one of the tech boot camps that I was recommending, I've dialed back a little bit on recommending them. Nothing's wrong with them, but it's just I've found a couple better opportunities like for people. And actually it was weird that I stopped recommending them because they actually, in terms of referral fees that I get, they actually like pay out literally not 10 times. They pay out about 5 times more than even CourseCareers does. So, but it's like, I had to be honest. And I'm like, man, CourseCareers recently started offering the same thing they offer people, and it'll cost people significantly less. So I was like, yeah, I would get more of a referral fee if I keep promoting the other one. But I was like, dang, CourseCareers started offering the same thing. And it's a much better deal. So, but before CourseCareers started offering that, the other tech bootcamp that I was mentioning, a pre-hire. They're the one that they don't cost anything up front. They're one of those types where they don't cost anything up front. They do the deferred payment, but they make sure they get you a job. But after they get you a job, they it's an income shared agreement. So they take from your pay for the next like 4 years, and the maximum that they can take up to $30,000 after 4 years. Now, mind you, you're in tech after 4 years. Unless you're doing something real goofy, you should be making around 120,000 plus. So yeah, okay, it's not the worst thing,
right?
But I've been finding programs that have better offers for people, and I'm like, okay, cool. I want to give people offers that'll be better for them financially. But anyway, I say this to say, before finding out about better tech programs that they don't cost people as much money on the back end, people that hit me up and were like, hey, I don't have $3,000 to pay CourseCareers. Do you have another option? They're like, can I do a tech boot camp without having to pay anything? And I'm like, well, yeah, there's this pre-hired. And they're like, oh, cool. And I'm like, yeah, and you don't pay anything until after you get a job. And they're like, oh, great. And I was like, oh yeah, and it's 30,000. They're like, oh no, I can't do that. And I'm like, well, but you did college. You paid $50,000 to go to college. College didn't get you a job.
Didn't get you nothing.
And so it's so interesting. And again, I get it, but it's like, yo, let's be real. Like, let's be real. That 30,000 over 4 years sounds like a lot, but you did more of that for college, and college ain't get you nothing. And so now, mind you, again, there are better offers out there, so that's why I'm trying to work with that. But it just goes to show how, I don't know if it's social media, I don't know what it is. It just goes to show how there's just a thought process where people, I'm not gonna say everyone is lazy, but the actions are screaming laziness. The actions are screaming like, I don't want to do anything, but I want to be given this crazy opportunity to be in tech and make all of this money and work remote and all of that. And it's so I love how, and this is why I was kind of going back to what you're saying. So I love how, man, your willingness, you put in so much work and the sacrifice you put in, which was not a crazy sacrifice, but it was a big sacrifice.
Hey, listen,
your family.
That Boston University course was expensive. That one class at BU was like, I think it was 13 grand. That one class at Boston University. One class online.
Man.
Yeah.
I think there's I personally haven't seen anyone that's in your position in tech, not necessarily just your role, but at like a senior level or like really made moves in tech, and they didn't put in some kind of work. And I think I believe people can get in tech. And this is one of the things I've been talking to people about is like, yo, it's cool if you want to get in tech because you want to make a lot of money. But if you're too lazy to do even the base level work that's required today to get in tech, if you're too lazy to do that, you're not going to be, your work ethic isn't going to switch overnight to where now you're going to be able to move up in tech and really kill it in that space. So I truly believe even where you're at now, not just being in tech, but like the level you're at, the experience you have, I believe it's a direct reflection of you being the same person you were that put that work in just to get where you're at.
Yeah. I appreciate that, man. It's no joke, man. But I think everything you said is absolutely 100, man. Like, you got to be able to put in some work, especially if you're transitioning without the experience. So that was the big thing. I know I didn't have the experience to ask for 100K plus, but I had resume in other areas that were unrelated, but experienced enough to not come in at a junior level. I knew I could come in at that mid tier to get that 6 figures if I could at least talk the talk, if I at least had the background. So that refresher that I took for free online, the Coursera, the Udemy stuff, and the YouTube University was enough to give me confidence to refresh the technical knowledge that I learned in college. It refreshed it. It brought it up to date. I'm like, okay, got it. And then I was able to now add the paid course on top of it that took it to the next level once I was ready, man. And it was enough. Funny enough, get this though. I never even took the PMP certification because I got the job without the PMP cert. So even though I did the boot camp, I took the class at Boston U, I never even took or passed the certification because I got the job. And once I got the job, I was like rocking and rolling, making money, learn on the job, learning new skills, learning their applications. And I never even looked back. I never even needed it.
Man, I mean, it's good. That's something you ain't need to do. You did enough already. So you put in enough work already, bro. Yeah. So looking at your stuff on LinkedIn, gosh, PMP, like project management, sales engineering, like, bro, I guess can you speak to like which one do you prefer? I want to ask you straight up. Which one did you prefer? Project management or sales engineering?
Oh, easy, no question about it. Sales engineering. Listen, sales engineering.
Hey, let's go.
Listen, sales engineering literally, man, was my favorite role. Like when I became a sales engineer, I really saw it's levels to tech. Like it is levels to this, right? There's sales engineers that make 75,000 and there's sales engineers that make 400,000. Okay. There's levels to just that one role.
I'm trying to be the latter.
Bro, listen, that role is so deep, and you can go so deep in that role based on your skill set, based on the type of industry you work in, based on the type of applications that you specialize in. So when I got a little taste of sales engineering, and I also like the fact that it came with travel. A lot of times, even back then, pre-COVID, it was working remote. So it now gave me an ability to work from home, right? It gave me that flexibility and it allowed me to travel the world. Dude, when I first became a sales engineer, my first role, they sent me to Chile. I was in Santiago, Chile. I was in Peru. I went to India twice a year. I was in the UK. I mean, it was like crazy. I was all over the place. If you go back to my Facebook post from back then, like people were like, yo, where are you at? Like, what are you doing? Like
living a life.
They was like, are you in the military? Like, what's happening? Like, what's going on? Are you like Secret Service, FBI or something? I was like, no, man, I'm in tech. But like back then, a lot of still people didn't know this is like 2015, 2016. People were like, okay, like what is that really? But it was a great opportunity for me. And I love the fact that as a sales engineer, no day was the same. I could be doing the same demo of the same product, but to a different audience. Their questions are different. The interaction is different. Where the conversation goes is different. And then it gave me an opportunity to perfect my craft, to get comfortable with multiple applications, to learn new technology. And also, you've mastered technology when you can train someone else. Right? So sales engineering is an ability for me in the sales process to be that technical engineer who understands the product enough to break it down to others, to give you enough confidence in the functionality, the features of the product for you to make a buying decision.
Yeah, for me to think, yo, I can do it. I can use this and do it myself. A person's first time seeing it and you doing such a good job at showing it, showcasing it to them that they're like, yo, I want to buy this. And I believe my team can do this. We could do this.
It gives them the confidence. My team can use it. And yes, I want to buy this. So you're a valuable part of that organization. So when you provide that value, it comes with typically a nice pay, a nice compensation package, because you're a very valuable part of that organization. So
man, I'm
favorite role.
I'm going to have to cut this snippet of the conversation, share this, and tag all my project management friends and be like,
okay, all right, I'm gonna give you this. When I was a project manager, okay, so remember my first role, I was doing project management and account management. I was like half and half, right? I was making that 115. When they promoted me up and I applied for the sales engineering job, they bumped me up to like 140. I went from 115 to 140. And I was just doing one job at that point, one job. So I went from doing two jobs, making about 115, to now just doing sales engineering. I was making 140. And then when I became a sales engineer is when I started traveling the world.
Yeah.
Right? Is when it kind of, and they said, oh, at that point, you don't even need to live in Colorado anymore. You can move back to Atlanta. Actually, they offered me, we'll move you back to Atlanta. They paid for me to come back to Atlanta, even though I wanted to come back to Atlanta anyway. So they paid for me to come back, covered the relocation, or they said you can move to any one of the other cities on the East Coast. So that was Toronto, New York, and Florida. So it's Toronto, New York, Florida, or we'll send you back to Atlanta. And if we send you back to Atlanta, you can keep your same pay, that 140 back in Atlanta.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
And
or
that
if
money
you move back then, 2016.
back then, what?
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
hey, I was
That's
up.
crazy.
I was up quickly. So, but I thought about taking the other job too, the other city. So for Toronto, they were going to give me an extra 20,000 if I moved to Toronto in my salary, plus a bonus, right? So a bonus plus an extra 20K in my salary if I took Toronto. New York was about the same. I think it was like 15,000 bonus, and then something else for New York. Florida was the same as Atlanta, so Atlanta would have just been a wash with Florida. But obviously, I had the connections in Atlanta. I wanted to come back to Atlanta, so I did that. At one point, I kind of regretted the fact that I didn't take the ability to take that chance to maybe go to Canada, have that experience in Canada. I don't know what that would have done for my career, but everything.
I know what it would have done to your lingo during this whole conversation. You would have been saying "a" after everything. You'd have been like, "Yeah, I should have came back to Atlanta." And
I would have been saying project, and you know they pronounce their O's real differently in Canada. Yeah, man. But it was a crazy time. But that sales engineering role really opened my eyes to the organization and the type of money that was available.
Yeah, bro. I'm like low-key getting chills, man. Man, one of the things that I'm enjoying with doing this, and it's something I didn't expect, is like, especially like talking to you, Derek, one of my homeboys, John, who came on. It's like talking to people that I know, and like just hearing how much God has been like blessing you. Yeah. Like that stuff, like, bro, that stuff touches me, and it makes me so happy. Like so happy, man. So, man, I'm so proud of you. I'm talking like I'm wrapping up the conversation. Man, I'm so proud of you. I'm grateful to see like just the blessing that's been shining on your life, your experiences. But I ain't gonna lie, one thing I'm hating on you about. So my company, Dialpad, obviously we're a competitor to Zoom. I truly believe our technology is way better than Zoom, and people see that whenever I demo the product. But we're a competitor to Zoom, or Zoom's our competitor, either way. And because of that, 99.999% of demos I probably will ever do, as long as I stay at this company, will always be me sitting right here being remote, because I have to demo how companies can stay remote, how their team can work from home, they can work from their phone, whatever.
It's part of the sale. You got to, right?
It is. And so the only thing I low-key am a hater about is the fact that I'm like, man, when all of these restrictions start to come down even more, man, the sales engineers that have like more of a product that they can demo in person, they're going to be flying everywhere. Every week they're going to be in a different state, a different country, eating different food, different cuisines, all on the billing of the company.
Hey, don't worry. Hey, call me, man. Don't worry. Talk to me, man. Don't worry.
I'm gonna hit you up. I'm gonna have to hit you up on the back end.
Don't worry, man. Don't worry. Yeah, we might have something to talk about.
Okay, all right, cool. We'll talk offline about that then. I'll definitely take you up on that, man. So, all right, so you amazing journey getting into tech, amazing journey in the things you enjoy, project management, sales engineering. That's dope.
Yeah.
So now, man, I want to talk about like you being an entrepreneur. And so that's one of the other things that's super dope, because one of the things, there were a few things, literally there's a bunch of pieces that made me want to get into tech. One of the things that actually ushered me in was that I was working on a startup with a friend. He's a developer. He's a architect, something in a developer architect. And so he doesn't even work for a company. He just does contract jobs, makes about $250,000 a year. And we're the same age. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was broke. This is when I was Lyft driving. I was doing my counseling sessions. I wasn't broke, but it was, to me, I considered it broke. But I was blessed. But I was doing like 4 different things in terms of income, and was still scratching about 65, grossing 65. But working crazy hours, Lyft driving overnight 6 nights a week. It was kind of miserable, especially you Lyft driving overnight, you dropping people off at nice restaurants, nice bars, you seeing people living life, and it's like, man, my life is just spent right now. Right. And the homeboy of mine, we were during the day, we were working on the startup, And he was just able to fund any and everything. Like every time it was like, oh, we're gonna have to get this thing. And I was like, okay, cool, we're gonna do this, we're gonna build up the money for it. He was like, what? He was like, man, I'll pay for that. Like it was nothing, like he just didn't really care.
Right.
And seeing that, the thing that put the nail in the coffin, people here in the Patreon community probably gonna get tired of this story because I reiterate this story so much. But the thing that put the nail in the coffin was when my Jeep, I still have it. I actually just paid it off today. So I was so happy about that. So happy. But the Jeep I was live driving in, it started. Thank you, Jessica. The Jeep that I was live driving in started getting to a point where it's like, yo, I don't think it's about to last too much longer. And even now, I think it's about to be done in like a month or 2 months.
Okay.
But I was like, yo, I was like, bro, I don't think I'm gonna be able to continue live driving. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I told him I'm gonna have to get like a normal job or do something. And I said, man, it's gonna make me pull back a little bit from the business, just a little bit. And he told me, he was like, well, how much you make live driving? He said, what, like you probably make about like 30,000 a year just live driving, right? He was like, well, he said, how about this? He says, stop live driving. He says, I'll just pay you whatever you were getting live driving, wherever you were making live driving. He was like, and then you could just focus on the business. Yeah. And you can continue doing all the other stuff you're doing with your time.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment that jump put a nail in the coffin for me that made me realize how much of a gap there was between him and myself, where it's like you could literally remove what I'm doing 50 hours a week. You can replace that and it won't even like hit your life in a heavy way. When I saw that, that's when I said, no. I'm getting in tech. I'm getting in tech. I can't do this no more.
Something got to change.
I can't do this no more.
Something got to change.
And so, but anyway, so that was one of the things that I was doing. So, but me getting in tech wasn't just to like escape being an entrepreneur. It was like, no, I need to get in tech because as a man, I need to get my life situated. Straight. I need to get it situated. I can't be out here moving around like I'm in my early 20s anymore. I got to get it situated. Yeah. And I said, then once I get a good foundation going, then I will look at, okay, what can I now invest my money into? What can I start up that, hey, now I actually have the capital myself that I can be my own investor. I can be my own funder into what I'm doing. And so to see what you're doing with Turo, with Airbnb, and I'm maybe other things I'm completely unaware of, to see that, bro, I really want to know kind of like what exactly what all you're doing, and how being in tech, whether financially or even education wise, how you've leveraged that to help with your entrepreneur.
Yeah, man, that's a great question, man. And I think you hit on two things. I think it's helped me in two ways. Number one, making the money that we make in the tech industry has given me the ability to be my own investor, right? Yeah. I can fund my own dreams, my own passions. It's not just, being able to travel and do things like that. Yeah, that's a great part of it. Cool. But to now be able to, okay, great. Like I want to start a business. I've got 30,000 in my savings account to now be able to go spend on a real estate project. Or I want to go buy a new car and I'm going to use that car and put it on Turo. And no longer am I going to be driving behind the wheel of the car using my earned income and my time spent, but I'm going to let that asset now work for me, right? So I'm going to spend that money on an asset. I'm going to put that asset out on the street and that asset is going to bring me back dollars. So my dollars are bringing me dollars. But you got to have some money to start with. Like that's the hard part. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. They see the sexiness of being a business owner, being a businesswoman, being a mogul and making moves. But those moves require money, require assets. So being in tech has given me the finances to be able to start some businesses, right? That was the biggest thing. That's the first thing. And number two, understanding how technology works has allowed me to do businesses that don't require so much of my time. So the type of businesses that I choose are businesses that are tech heavy, right? That are side hustle focused, right? That are gig economy, peer-to-peer type businesses that leverage technology, right? That leverage an app, a platform, a system, a tool to now be able to scale your business effectively. So great example of that is Airbnb, right? I started Airbnb 2 years ago and I understood the platform, right? I got it. I completely was sold in on that peer-to-peer exchange of value of goods, right? And I love the fact that they were like being a disruptor in the industry in the same way
Yeah.
that Uber and Lyft was a disruptor to the taxi industry. Airbnb was being a disruptor in the hotel and in the residency travel space, right?
Yeah.
So I got started in that, and it really just took off. I honestly didn't know that it would kind of take off at the scale that it did and how fast it
Yeah.
did. I think, funny enough, COVID actually sped up the maturation process and the demand for Airbnbs. So when you think about it, at the beginning of COVID, right when the shutdown happened, no one was traveling. But as soon as travel started to come back, people didn't want to go to busy hotels anymore. They didn't want to go to lobbies.
They had to stay away from people.
They had to stay away from people. In hotels, it's like, you got to go down in the elevator. You got to be having breakfast with 20, 30, 40, 50 people, right? You got to wait in the lobby with a whole bunch of people. But Airbnb was an opportunity for people to have their own space, to have their own environment, to bring their family, to bring their close friends that they quarantined with before the trip. They felt safe to now go with on the trip together. It was a great opportunity. So I was in Airbnb at the right time, dude. Like,
I didn't even think about that. That's wild, but that's so true.
I ain't think about it either, to be honest with you. I wish I could be like, yeah, bro, I
planned this. I knew it was gonna happen.
I knew it was gonna happen. I studied, I did all this, technical analysis. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I ain't gonna hold you. I was just in the right place at the right time. Sometimes God works that way, right? You already know. So I was in the right place, and our business just took off. So I went from 1 Airbnb to 3 to 4 to 7, and we just kept rolling it. We just kept rolling it. Now fast forward, we've added now Turo car rentals alongside our Airbnb business. So when people travel, they come in town to get an Airbnb, to get a place. We can also offer them a car. So I don't have a one-to-one relationship, but it's like a 2-to-1. So for like every 2 properties, I try to get 1 car, or every 2 to 3. Like 2 to 3 properties, I try to get 1 more car. So that way the car can stay consistently booked based on the travelers that's coming in town that are staying at the Airbnbs.
Man, that's so smart, because that's the same model that hotels have been doing in terms of when people book hotels, or people book a flight. Sometimes it'll happen when they book a flight, but even when people book hotels, like if someone books a flight, it'll often have hotels linked in there. Hey, is there a hotel you want to be in there? And also a rental car. Yeah. Exactly. So that's incredibly smart that you are moving that same direction, where it's like, okay, yeah, we got Airbnb. When they're in town, okay, do they want to like Uber and Lyft everywhere? Probably not, because the cost of that could be crazy, especially coming to Atlanta.
It's a big city. It's a spread out city.
Yeah, really. And so it's like, yo, they could rent. I could provide a vehicle, offer a vehicle that they could just kind of get around in instead. Man, that in and of itself is brilliant. I know there are other people that are doing this, but it's still brilliant. That's very smart, very wise.
Yeah, bro. So that whole piece of it has been dope. But guess what? The best part is, when you use a platform like Turo and Airbnb, once you build it, like once you set it up, it really kind of runs itself, other than the occasional check-in, touch base, cleaning, refueling if it's a car. But it's not like a type of job or business that requires you to be there 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week. It's like an hour a day, maybe like 2 hours a day, max type of business, both of them, right? So they really complement each other, number one. And then the type of business model it is, I'm leveraging their platform. So it gives me back that really nice residual income, and in some cases, passive income, or what I like to say is that inactive income, right? So active income is what I do on a day-to-day basis in the tech space. It requires me to exchange hours for revenue. Now, it is really nice revenue. It is really high-paying revenue.
It is.
But I still have to show up. I still got to do something to get something, right? Inactive revenue is something that I do one time. It's an activity, a system that I build that now brings me money in with very little work. It's not zero work, but very little work. But that 1 hour a day or so that I put into our business is able to now bring me a really nice passive income. So for each Airbnb property, I earn anywhere between $1,500 and $3,000 a month for every Airbnb. And then for every vehicle, it's anywhere between probably about $750 to $1,500 a month for every vehicle that's bringing in. That's the profit for each investment.
Man, that is wild.
Yeah. And that's that passive, it's that nice passive inactive income.
Yeah, man, that is incredible, man. That's dope. So, oh man, so I was gonna ask a question. I feel like you just answered the question. The question I'll still ask the question. I was gonna ask if you, well, maybe you didn't answer the question technically.
Okay.
Are you at a place now, and you don't have to fully expose your pockets, but are you at a place now where your Airbnb and Turo business is now generating more money than what you're doing in tech? Or like what's the ratio? Would you say it's like 60-40?
We're getting close. We getting real close. Yeah, we getting real close. So the cool thing is, as the business has continued to elevate, my career has continued to elevate as well. So it's kind of, and I'm kind of at that point in the career side where it's hard to let go of that. So I actually I get that question. I actually got that question recently too, of like, yo, Ted's like, yo, when you gonna lead a job? When you gonna focus on the business full time? If this is what you were able to do part time in entrepreneurial space, like imagine what you could do full time. But the crazy thing is, like I said, as I was building the business, my career really took a jump. So I went from like that 150, 160 range in that ballpark for a couple of years to like we up there. I just took
we up there.
We took a big jump. So now it's like, man, that's kind of hard to just be like, I'm gonna just let that go. I'm gonna just focus on this. So my job, honestly, and my focus right now is do both. I want to do both for as long as I enjoy both. That's the crazy thing too. Now I could get it if some people like, oh, I don't like my job. So that's an easier decision, right? I actually enjoy what I do. And not only do I enjoy what I do, one part of where I work now, and we could talk about this if you want to get into this, but my organization that I work with now, I have stake in the company, right? I am a owner in the business, right? So their success is my success, right? So when you work for a tech startup, if you're able to negotiate equity, shares, profit sharing in the organization, and especially if you get promoted into like an executive role or a leadership role, then even that percentage changes. You get a little extra benefits, more stake in the organization. So I'm at that position now where I'm invested in their success. I have a seat at the table. I have a voice in our decisions. I am literally building the strategic partnerships with other technology vendors in the space and evaluating our investments. So it's a good spot to be in. And the bigger thing that's even beyond the compensation and everything else that the job allows me to do is the representation that I feel like I'm able to have in my industry. Because not a lot of people, bro, that look like us. Yeah. It's really not. It's really not. And when I look across the table in these boardrooms, especially at, bro, it's not a lot, man. It's not a lot of us. So that's the piece for me that I almost feel like I kind of owe it to the culture. I owe it to the next people. I owe it to the people that I'm able to hire or refer or bring in or influence by being in the role, by being in my position, by speaking at the trade shows, by going and being a face for my organization. My company is sending me on a conference. I just came back from a conference. I'm gonna grab this real quick. So I just came back from a conference in DC. I don't know if
that conference looks so cool. Man.
I just came back from a conference in DC, and my company only sent 5 people. We didn't send like a whole bunch of people. They sent me to the conference to speak on a panel and to be a part of the trade show. And it was a government and technology trade show, right? So they're putting me out there as a representative of the organization. And I'm able to now network and collaborate and rub elbows with people from all type of backgrounds, all type of industries, and I'm able to potentially see someone else that looks like me in a different organization, a different role. And I feel like that's so valuable and that's so key. I didn't see that example. I kind of just got in here and, you know, I kind of went deep once I got in. But I think there's something to be said about representation, man. So I do see that as well in what I'm doing.
Man, that's so beautiful. And that's very true. I mean, we talk a lot about representation, but yeah, truly seeing those things, it adds a lot of value because it unlocks something subconsciously to where you actually do believe you can do that particular thing, or you can get there. And I mean, that's a very real thing, man. That's so dope, man. I'm literally listening to you and I'm thinking like, man, I'm happy that literally I'm having this conversation with you. Even like I'm happy that I know this is blessing people that are on here and blessing other people that are gonna watch the replay. But I'm like, man, I'm getting a lot from this conversation, straight up, man. So, bro, this is incredible. So can you like what? So at the conference or the event that you were just at, what were some of the things that took place there?
Yeah. So the conference was called CUNA GAC. So it is a credit union national association, I believe that's the acronym. Somebody check it if I'm wrong. But it's called CUNA GAC, so Government Affairs Conference for those credit unions. So all the credit unions get together. Anybody don't know what a credit union is? It is a nonprofit organization, a financial institution that's an alternative to a bank, right? So you can park your money, park your assets, get loans, and they are supposed to be providing financial advice, financial literacy, along with the typical transactional type of finances that you may do with a bank, a big bank, Bank of America, PNC. So Navy Federal Credit Union, PenFed Credit Union, Georgia's Own, these are kind of some credit unions that you may have heard of. They have a really tight community amongst themselves. And every year they get together and they host this conference and they invite the technology partners that provide them solutions. They invite the technology partners like my company. They invite us all out and we present latest trends in the industry, latest technology, what's happening, what's going on. How can we better serve them? Right. So there's about 3,000 or so credit unions now. That number changes all the time because acquisitions and mergers. But you see them all come together. So it's a great opportunity for us to collaborate and also potentially sell some services, sell some products as well. But the other aspect of it is that DC aspect. So now we get politicians that have a interest in the financial sector or the technology sector or both, or they're looking to get money, rather lobbyists or people that are looking to get money in pockets of politicians that are going to influence technology policy or financial policy that benefit credit unions all in the same place. So think about this. You get policymakers, legislators, lobbyists, financial executives, and technology providers all in one spot for about a week in DC every year. So it's a great conference. I've been going since I've been in the industry. Since I've been in the tech space, the fintech space specifically, I've been going to this conference. So it's been great. We only missed a year because of COVID, but I've been every other year. And it's crazy. Every year I go back, I got a new title. I got a new promotion. I'm
leveling up.
I'm leveling up. My goal is every year before I come, I need to be promoted. I ain't trying to come back the same spot as the last year. But it was a great conference, great connections. I've gotten jobs from just being at that conference. So when I left D&H, I got my next job because of people that I met at that conference. And even if you're not asked to speak, because I wasn't speaking until like recently, until like the year right before COVID, I was asked to speak. So this is only my second time speaking. But even before then, just being in the presence, being there, being in the room, they talk about that on social media a lot, right? Just being in the room and making yourself known in the room was a way that I was able to network and get my name out there. And I was able to get a job from going to the conference back in like 2016, 2017.
Bro, so that conference sounds super fire. I definitely need to go to the next one. I'm doing my first tech meetup because I haven't met any of my coworkers. My company's my company, one of our sites are in Texas. My company's based in Cali, but I look at my company as being based in Texas because that's where mostly everyone's at. They're at the Texas site. And so I've never met any of my coworkers in person. It's all been virtual.
Yeah.
And so I've been looking up different tech gatherings in Atlanta. There's one coming up in a couple weeks with pre-sales tech group, literally like a week or two from now. I'm like very excited for that, to actually start being a part of the community in a real tangible way. So looking forward to that. Definitely going to be going to some conferences this year.
Get out there to the conferences
next year.
Yeah, you got to. Have you seen Afrotech? You see Afrotech's event?
I followed their page about 2 weeks ago, and I've been enjoying their content straight up. Yeah, so they are really incredible, and I'm definitely gonna go to some of their events. So I'm probably gonna need one more promotion, because I want to go there with just a little bit of rank. I'm still not gonna be up there, but I just want to have a little rank while I'm there. Because you know, being a veteran, I know what it's like when you at a place and you wanted the little runts. It's you gotta have a little bit of rank on you. Straight up. So it's really wild that the conference was about that, because so transitioning over, one of the things that I wanted us to talk about, something that just recently happened with Starlink. Elon Musk, one of his many businesses. So Starlink, for anyone who's not familiar, is, and this is me explaining what I know about Starlink. There might be a lot more to it. But with Elon Musk Starlink, basically it's where he has satellites that are in space, which isn't shocking. That's where most satellites are. But his satellites provide internet like from those satellites. So basically you won't need Wi-Fi, like the Wi-Fi we use. Instead, you could just download their Starlink app and have internet access no matter where you're at, as long as you have the Starlink app. So it's something really crazy. And again, this is like very, very, very base level explanation. Someone could probably do a much better job at explaining it. And these are pieces of me just watching YouTube clips of people like halfway talking about it or mentioning it. And so basically me using context clues to figure out what it is. That being said, something recently came out in the news. I'm going to share my screen about something that Elon Musk did with Starlink as it relates to Ukraine. So this is pretty wild. I don't know why this is purple, but whatever. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. So as it says right here, see, it's like a top on the screen. They're trying to kill me with these ads. I ain't buying none of these things. But anyway, Elon allows people access to satellite-based internet service, becomes the most downloaded in Ukraine. So just kind of touch on the point. Starlink app has become the most technology satellite internet service. So kind of go down a little bit further. Elon Musk Starlink app, which allows people access to satellite-based internet service, become the most downloaded app in Ukraine. The SpaceX CEO delivered the terminals that provide the service after Putin invaded the country last month. Since then, figures show the app has been downloaded almost 100,000 times in Ukraine, with global downloads more than tripling in the last 2 weeks. So for people who might not know, when Russia invaded Ukraine, they like knocked out their internet. I'm not exactly sure how they did it, but they knocked out their internet and their Wi-Fi, obviously trying to cut off their communication from them. So Elon Musk, our Tony Stark, you know, our white brother who born and raised in Africa, one of his many businesses, Starlink, he basically usurped an entire military with his business to provide internet access and communication to a country that was cut off by another country. And so it's very interesting to see this. So, and the reason why I thought, man, this is really perfect for what we're talking about is because you being at an event that both involves government and tech at the same time. Obviously the financial component as well, but it's like, it's really wild to see this, because it's like, yo, it's crazy that a person can create technology that, like, they could just create their own technology, have their own business. They could put satellites up in space and literally cut off the legs from one of the literally other military groups. Like, someone with technology can do that. And it's like, yo, the government is just allowing, like, even our government, like, everyone's just like, oh yeah, it's cool. You can throw a satellite in space and you basically can like just do something that's going to attack or is going to hurt or harm or is going to greatly affect an entire country.
Yep.
And so, like, man, did you know about this? What do you know about Starlink? And where do you think we're heading in terms of people creating technology and government putting restrictions or allowing things to happen? Because clearly everyone's allowing this to happen right now. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, man, what he's doing is crazy. And the funny thing is, like, you know, this isn't the first time, right? He continues to push the envelope. And I think it's funny that you said that. Like, he is the Tony Stark of our age, right? Of our reality, like, for real, right? He's the closest thing we got to it. I don't know of anyone else that can kind of be that comparison. But I think it's great that technology continues to play a role in government and in global affairs, right? When you think about Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, and you know, all these things continue to be the topic of politicians and of legislation and of rules. You remember when the iPhone, remember, like, they would capture somebody and their iPhone would be locked, and they'll be like, well, we'll just call Apple and Apple will just give us their password and Apple will just unlock the device.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out what the criminal activity was, and we'll track the phone and we'll do all that. So the government, FBI, reached out to Apple, and I was like, do you know the password? They're like, no, well, you're not getting in, bro. Like, that's it. Like, we're sorry. Like, we don't care. Like, listen, our technology, our standards, and people choose iPhone for various reasons, right? They don't play. Apple said, absolutely no. We're not backdooring no system. Jessica, dead on. Like, they said no. They called them to Congress. They subpoenaed them. They brought them to DC, sat them down in the room, and Apple was like, nah, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. Like, flat out, we're not doing it. Here's why. Here are the terms and services and agreements that this user, this valuable Apple user, agreed to when we sold them their device, when they downloaded the operating system. This is what they agreed to. We're going to stand up to our part. I thought that was just such a testament to, like, the tech industry standing up to government rules, whatever, and saying, bro, this is what we do, right? So the tech industry is not a surprise that someone like this is leveraging tech to surpass the issues that are going on, right, in the world, right? And that are, I think, is going to impact the psyche of those people in Ukraine more so than anything else, right? The fact that now they can communicate inter-country and outside of, right, inside their country, intra and inter, right? So they can now have that communication. That's valuable, bro. That's almost as valuable as food, as water. Now I can communicate. I can check on my family. I know what people are, and I can get my story out. Because everybody there, I'm sure, has someone outside of Ukraine that's worried about them, that's thinking about them, that is, you know, aware of what's going on. So now you can touch base and you can communicate and stay in contact, and also keep track of what's happening and what's going on, right, as well. So I can't even imagine what they're going through. You and I both were in the military. I was a reservist as well, you know, so I have that, you know, always in the back of my mind of the military aspect. But technology plays a big role in military action more than you think, especially now when it comes to, like, counterterrorism, when it comes to espionage, you know, when it comes to even cybersecurity. You see all the things that Russia was doing to us, you know, over the past couple of years from 2016 to 2020.
Yeah.
A lot of that was cyber attacks and continues to happen. So
they were using social media to make people vote certain directions. It's crazy.
It's all tech. So the cool thing is, like, in my space, in this whole, you know, digital banking, financial technology industry, it's always a hot button topic with government officials, because they always are wanting to know, like, what security protocols are we leveraging? How are we opening finance to and enabling finance to be decentralized, and cryptocurrencies, and how does that play in traditional finance? What is the role of P2P? What is the role of AI in banking, in finance? So these government officials are leaning to us as a technology provider to guide them in legislation that they need to make, or even things that they should be aware of for their constituents and just in general. So it's kind of dope, man. That conference and it all kind of comes full circle to your question of technology is bigger than just a job, just a role, just something you can do. But I urge people not only to take a role in the organization, but also look at ways that you can build your own tech. Look at ways that you can advance that organization beyond where they are today, because we're always looking for like fresh ideas, fresh blood, and innovation to be able to drive the company's agenda forward or get into new verticals altogether.
Bro, so man, love everything you said, and the way you tied that up, man, was just so perfect, because the next and the last thing I wanted us to talk about, it goes to, I put up a post, I think it was early this week or it might have been last week, where it was a reel of showing metaverse when Mark Zuckerberg and one of his executives were demoing metaverse and showing how they could create the meta world just with using their words. And from that one to other things I put up that show AI, show bots at conferences, talking, moving around. Oftentimes the reaction that I'm seeing from people, it's an understandable reaction, but the reaction is that people are like, oh man, like this is crazy. This needs to be stopped. You know, sometimes people's reactions might be exaggerated, but again, I'm just speaking from what I know right now. Don't know what's going to happen in the future, but nevertheless, one of the things that I've been seeing is that people oftentimes aren't in the know. What I've been trying to do on my page is share things that are happening in technology, not to scare people, but to show them like, hey, don't be so unaware and so comfortable where you're at. They're like, yo, in the next few years, you could easily be replaced. So maybe take an opportunity to consider either tech or just whatever. Do something to not be so comfortable. Find an exit strategy like we were talking about earlier. Whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're Uber, Lyft driver, whatever it is that you might be doing, make sure that you're not so comfortable where you're at. Because the same way companies get disrupted, the same way Airbnb disrupted the hotel industry, the same way Uber and Lyft disrupted the taxi industry and the transportation industry. Yo, tech will also disrupt your jobs that you're so comfortable in. And on the flip side, I think the value that's there, what I've been seeing both in people being fearful of tech and everyone saying, man, well, that AI is probably going to take over the world, or, oh man, like Meta, that seems so dark. It seems so crazy. My thought process has been like, yo, like, why don't you get into, like, literally, if you're so afraid of what it's going to do to the world, if good people are in tech, like if good people are in the industry, then we have a voice in the industry. We, you know, whatever your role is, you have some kind of voice, some kind of say so, some kind of influence.
Yeah, man.
And it's like, man, and so you mentioning the value of people getting into tech, I think that's something that's missing.
And not only do we need good people in it, but we need people like us, bro. We need people that look like us, that come from backgrounds like us, that are brown, that are black, that are diverse, that are young, that are energetic, that are bringing our influence into tech. A funny thing, you know, when you think about AI, you think about that artificial intelligence, right, of machines and computers and databases making decisions for people. A lot of times, like banking decisions, loan approvals are being made from a computer that never even make it to an underwriter. So I was working with an organization a couple of years ago, and we did a proof of concept, right? You know what proof of concept is. So we did kind of a ability test to be able to see how AI would react when it was built by Microsoft, when it was built by people in China, when it was built by people in Africa, right? So we took kind of like
see like it acting different based on where it's built or who builds it.
Based on who built it, we implemented it in the same use case and see what would happen. So what we noticed is the technology that was built by Asians preferred or approved more Asians for loans. The technology that was built by Africans approved more Africans and African Americans and Caribbeans and people of color and people from Latin America for loans. And the one that was generic, that was built by Microsoft, that had potentially biases in there as well, but nothing clear and definitive, was biased to white Americans only, right? It was a white American and everyone else was kind of sprinkled in there, right?
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you that the people behind the technology can influence the tech. right? So the numbers went up for Asians when the Asians built it. It went up when African Americans or Africans built the tech. African Americans and Africans, number of approvals went up. And then again, the Microsoft tech gave kind of a general swath of, Caucasian Americans, and everybody else just kind of sprinkled in based on who built the technology. Now, this is unformulated, undialed in, not a lot of configuration. We just took their base product and turned it on without a lot of extra configuration.
That's crazy.
Imagine if your bank that you're going to go get a loan, a car loan, a student loan, a credit card, has that technology that they bought from Microsoft, let's just say, or from a tech company that doesn't have any diversity, doesn't have anyone thinking about diversity, thinking about inclusion as they're programming, and they're just giving you that vanilla code. And you're wondering why I can't get approved. You're wondering why neighborhoods look like the way they do. You wonder why gentrification continues to happen around you, and you don't see people getting access to capital, access to funds in a more open way. And I think technology has a role to play in that. Luckily, there are a few organizations that are aware of that. They've made it more aware in the industry. So now people are potentially addressing that in their code base. So that was a few years ago. I think we've gotten better. I know some organizations that have really stood up and made that a big deal. So I'm excited to see how that continues to evolve over time. And the great thing is I'm noticing banks, even a bigger trend, is taking a shift away from X's and O's of, oh, the credit score has to be this, the age has to be that. And they're looking broader into other aspects of your life to make a financial decision. So they're looking at things like your social media presence. They're looking at your email age, your phone age, your job itself, your characteristics, your personality. They're looking at things beyond just what's on paper to make a financial decision, which is cool. So there's a lot of neobanks and fintechs out there that are taking a different approach. So I love being a part of stuff like that, man.
Man, that's crazy. It sounds like an omni-channel approach, because I know, like, even with my company and other companies are doing it too, to where, and this is why even I'm talking to people that are social media managers, and I'm like, yo, that's probably going to get taken away pretty soon, because now companies are having it to where AI is able to communicate with customers across all platforms. Or you could just have like a customer service rep, where whether someone's hitting up the company on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, wherever, all of that communication gets routed through an omni-channel to where it goes directly to that rep without them having to be on those social channels. So that was one thing which I think is dope. But to hear that banks are even leveraging like their visibility over seeing your worthiness for a loan, using social media, using all of these components, it's like, man, they're even leveraging an omni-channel model in that same way. That is, and that makes so much sense, because I read a book. I read a book recently called Dataclysm, and the book was written by one of the founders of OkCupid. So one of the co-founder of OkCupid. So of course that's a dating app. They leverage the data on the dating app to actually understand more about us socially as human beings. The data was wild. Like it's wild. Like I just can't even begin to get into what it described about how we truly are. The data actually shows that technology knows you better than you know you. Like I can't even get into it. It's so crazy. And so knowing that these companies are realizing, yo, there's more value in knowing someone's loan worthiness if we actually leverage data versus, looking at like basics like, oh, what's their credit score? How much do they make?
Look at this organization. I just found it. It's called Neener. 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 Google them. Neener is an organization that is doing exactly what we're talking about. They are leveraging AI. They're leveraging social media. They're leveraging external sources to help make financial decisions or help make loan and lending approval decisions. And they've got statistics that back it up, that their models are more successful for the financial institution that is open to giving more people loans, that is open to actually serving the people and don't really care about race and all the other old ways of approving people, but that are open to doing it. they're providing their technology, which is sitting in front of the underwriting decision, that goes out and says, no, Cortez is a good candidate, right? His credit score may not be 720, but he's a really good candidate. Here's why. Because we've vetted all these external pieces of information. We've looked at all these different variables, and we guarantee he's going to be a good client for you. And if you take our approach, we'll even back the decision with a certain amount of confidence, certain amount of financial backing, and maybe they even might secure the loan and do other things. But Neener is a great company that's kind of one of these ones that are in this industry that's looking to help banks and credit unions make better decisions that are hopefully non-biased.
Man, it's crazy. This is crazy. Man, this is so good. Like, man, so bro, I have it pulled up right now, Neener Analytics, and I'm definitely gonna comb through this page. This is wow. So I just share the screen real quick so everyone else can see it. And I'll just touch on this really lightly, and then we'll transition over to any questions if anybody on here has any questions. So sharing the screen now. So it says, what if you can convert 15% or more of your rejections into approvals in just 15 seconds?
Yeah.
Request a demo. So I request a demo. So either that's probably either a demo that's like a demo that's already been pre-recorded, or it could possibly be an actual sales engineer doing a demo. But I'm assuming it might be an AI or a pre-recorded.
I know
demo.
the investors of this company that started. Jim Bala. And Jim Bala actually lives in Georgia. He lives up by Lake Lanier. And there's another key investor as well. I think he lives in like the Bay Area. Good people, man. Real good people. And one of the investors is a Spanish brother, man. Real good dude, man. He actually gave me a shot at a little tech startup back in the day when I was transitioning from D&H. I did like a little consulting gig for them, and they were great to work with, man. So these are good people.
That's good stuff. It says the human data science company, small data results in a big data world. It's crazy stuff happening in tech. The tech it's wild. Like that's why, man, having these conversations are so much fun, because it's like I'm learning so much, because it's such a huge like world and huge space when it comes to tech, where it's like, man, it's just endless things, new companies popping up all the time, doing something unique that you didn't even think about or consider, all leveraging data and technology. That's incredible, bro. Thank you so much for sharing all this information, just for your story, the nuggets you've been dropping. I do want to, because we are like up at time, so I do want to pivot over and look at any questions that are here in the chat. So I don't currently see any questions, but I will respond or react a little bit to some of the comments that are said in here. So Charlene, make sure that you hit me up to make sure I'm gonna think through, but just DM me or hit us up on Patreon for me to as I'm thinking through what can be done, since you got Derek's name first. And but kind of going through the rest of this, someone said, oh no, that was you mentioning James. Jessica says student loans are a scam. I'm mad. I'm stuck with them. Yeah, I mean, college is good, and I'm always making jokes and reels and stuff about college, but it's like, again, it's like, what did you like, being strategic about what you go to college for? I mean, know at this point, I don't have to tell you, you already know better than I do at this point. And so I always crack jokes and make different comments. I guess one thing I could ask you real quick, Tez, is in the climate today, do you believe that if someone wants to get into tech, that they should go the college route? I'm not gonna say they need to, but do you believe it's like, like you would, like if you mentoring someone and they're like, hey man, I would love to get in tech.
Yeah, they want to get in tech, and they haven't been to college at all at this point. They're what, 18, 15, what?
20? Yeah. We'll go there. We'll say they're 17, 18. They're about let's say it's about November of last year. They're about to graduate.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
And so what would you say?
So, that's a hard question, because it depends on what you want to do in tech, right? It depends on what you want to do. And remember, college is more so about the connections that you make, the networking, and the person you become. And it's not really about the education. College is the biggest networking opportunity that you can have before you hit age 25, if you take advantage of it, if you leverage it in that way. So a lot of people go there with the wrong expectation that college is going to teach me how to do a job. College is going to help me become successful. By going to college, I'll automatically get X. And that's not the case. College is like me going to that conference that I went to in DC, but you're doing that for 4 years. So if you partied it away, or if you just were so focused on the education aspect alone and not the other aspects of college, which I think are more important, that aspect of what it does for you personally. College changed me because it gave me a broader look at the world, right? I came from a poor neighborhood in DC, right? Single mom, right? Food stamps, slept on a couch for most of my life. I didn't even have my own bedroom. So when I went off to college, it was an opportunity for me to become my own person, to see a different lifestyle, to meet other people that came from completely different backgrounds than I did. And I went to a college that even back then was like $36,000 a year, right? Dang near 20 years ago. That was expensive, right? So I had people that were there that their parents could pay for them to go there cash, right?
Man.
Right. And I went to college in New Jersey, like 15 minutes from New York in a Jewish neighborhood. And the type of people I was around was not the type of people I grew up with, not in DC, right? That wasn't the type of people that I was used to talking to, but I grew those relationships. I got to get along with people from different cultures. And my campus was a multicultural campus from international students as well. So really globally, I was able to kind of like think differently, get to know people from a different culture. And I think that's why I was able to be successful in my career now, and also as a sales engineer, because I'm now able to articulate to different cultures. I'm now able to get along with people. I'm now able to build rapport with people from different cultures and hopefully exchange value with them in an easy way. So I think college taught me so many of those things and not so much the book knowledge. So if I am talking to a 17-year-old kid, I'm going to tell them, what is your goal? Do you want to get in tech for a job, to make money, and to make a certain level of money? You don't need to go to college to do that. You really don't. You can take a boot camp. You can take an easy route. You can cut some corners, like you said earlier, get into tech, make good money, and be okay there. But if you want to be really successful in the tech space and grow beyond a job, build a career, make it to the executive level, excel, potentially own your own tech firm, start a consulting firm in the tech industry, to really be able to now mix and mingle, cross-culturally, I think college has helped me to be able to do those things. So I recommend it if you want to get to a certain level.
That's it. I'm going to college. I'm going to college so I can better leverage my tech career.
Now imagine if you got both.
No, that was good. That was really good.
Imagine if you got both, right? You got you got in how you got in, but now you in, and then you level it up with potentially a degree as well. But again, make sure it's the right degree, the right place where you're actually getting those benefits. If you're not getting those benefits, then don't even waste your time.
Yeah. So,
you know what I mean?
So I asked a question. Let me see. There. Okay. So there's a question, but I'm gonna skip ahead of you, Jessica. I'm gonna ask my question first. So I'm gonna ask a question. So, what would your recommendation be for? Honestly, I would say me. I was gonna say someone like me, but honestly, me. Yeah. So to leverage. So I've now been in tech. I've been a sales engineer officially now, working at a company for going on 7 months now. I did a tech boot camp, 4-week tech boot camp. Did some small certifications while I was waiting for a company to hire me. And so if I want to use the graduation day of tech boot camp to where I'm at now, I've been in tech for roughly 9 months now. Okay. And I work from home. I haven't physically been around anyone that's in tech, but I'm looking to leverage. I strongly want to leverage my career in tech, leverage my network, all of that. Yeah. What would some suggestions be for someone that's where I'm at? Especially because a lot of people that are part of this Patreon community are currently in a tech boot camp. Okay, some of them just recently graduated. So a lot of them are about to get into tech. So I really believe there'd be a lot of value in this part of the conversation for them.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. So I really think once you get into tech, the biggest thing is soak it up, right? Soak up as much as you can. Like, I was in my first job when they sent me to Denver. I ain't know nobody. I ain't had no friends. All I was doing was going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home. So guess what? I wasn't in a rush to come home. I wasn't in a rush. I'm gonna get home when I get home. I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna go down the hall. I'm gonna talk to I'm gonna talk to oh my God, what was his name? Jim. I was talking to Jim. I was talking to Susan. I was talking to Paul. I was talking to Tony. I was talking to people understanding their job, their role, their position. I was talking to this guy, Ken. He was one of the only other Black people that worked there at the time, right? So I used to talk to Ken all the time. There was this guy named Jay too that was kind of cool. He was kind of mixed. I don't know what he was, but he was like real cool to talk to. And he was a manager. I remember him being like a senior manager, right? So he was like kind of like one step above me-ish. And I remember learning from them about their roles because it gave me a better sense of what I want to do next. So if you go there and you're only focused on your job, when that job becomes tiring or exhausting, or you get tired of it, or just outgrows you, or you outgrow it, you don't know what to do next. But because I was always in there networking and learning about the different roles in the organization, different products, different systems in the organization, I was always putting my name in the hat for the next role, for the next promotion, for the next job. So I think that's how I was able to like level up so quickly, because I was always soaking up information. I would spend my lunch break sitting at someone else's desk. So I take my lunch, sometimes buy them lunch, sit at their desk and learn about what they were doing. So they'd show me Op Manager was one of the tools that our backend system used. I don't know if anybody's in like network engineering, but like Op Manager was like a tool that was like real popular. So I was learning Op Manager on my lunch breaks every other day, right? I go sit with Juan, and Juan would teach me programming, right? He would teach me JavaScript, right? He was teaching me, oh, this is just CSS branding on the top. It's no big deal. It's real easy. All you got to do is do this, and it changes the whole layout. It changes the whole UI, right? So I was learning from people like Tony. Tony was a back-end engineer, right? So Tony was worrying about the API connections, right? He was talking about web services before web services was cool, right? Before Dockerization and Kubernetes was cool. He was telling me about all these new technology schemas that we were going to be implementing into our products. So for me, I say, get into where you are, but spread your wings a little bit. Like, get out there, touch and feel a couple things. Like, don't be afraid to ask some questions of other people in your organization, because where you are is going to be the best learning ground for you. And hopefully it's going to be a stepping stone for your next opportunity and for that next role, for that next position. The next thing I would say is, for someone that's like a sales engineers can make, like I said, 75,000 or 400,000. So you got an opportunity potentially to just change where you are, do the same job in a different place, and make a ton more money just by changing your environment, just by changing that organization. So that's always something to consider when the time is right, right? If you love where you are, then go deep, go horizontal, learn more, and maybe level up that way. If you love the job and the job is amazing and this is what you love, maybe try doing it somewhere else where you can add more value, where they value that position greater. Yeah, man.
Bro, this is good. I like this. Like, I'm literally listening to you and I'm thinking through, I'm like, okay, I need to move differently even in my company, of that. Man, I'm such a huge people person, so I love people. But it's so weird when it comes to,
you could do that, man. You could easily do what I'm talking about. You could navigate that easily with your personality. Come on, you got it.
Man, I love it. This is very beneficial for me. So if it ain't blessing nobody else, this jump bless me. So that was for me. So I appreciate that. All right, so we're gonna get to these questions that are in here, and then we'll actually wrap up. So all right, so Jessica looks like she asked a question. She says, I am looking for a job in development. I am doing a refresher boot camp. I don't have a portfolio site up. Should I wait to apply for jobs or start applying now while completing the refreshers?
Man, I say apply now, right? I applied for my job in tech while I was taking the course, right? I didn't even finish and I was applying. Let that company tell you you're not ready. Don't discount yourself before you even, before you even get out there, right? Put yourself out there, right? They're gonna have to turn me down. Right. What I didn't say earlier when I was telling that story is I didn't get 3 jobs. I applied for 20. I made it to interviews with 3 first. I learned from each one of those interviews why I didn't get the job. So then when I went to the 4th interview, that's the one I ended up getting. I had all that background and all that experience. So I took notes on every question they asked me. I went back home and I studied those questions. I went back home. I did YouTube videos on all the terms that they used during the interview. All the technical terms they use in an interview. I Googled those terms. I studied those terms. So when I went to that fourth interview, I was ready. So I almost used the interviews like practice. Some of the jobs I didn't even want. Some of the jobs I didn't even care about. I could care less. I was applying on purpose to get the experience. I was getting experience from interviews. Straight up.
That's a bar.
Straight up.
That's a bar.
Straight up. So, I mean, like, I definitely recommend, for anybody that's like nervous or am I not ready or you having that whole self-doubt, put yourself out there. But don't necessarily put yourself out there with the company and the job that you really, really, really desire first. Put yourself out there with some other ones that you really might not even like that. That might not even be that cool, but you're going to use them as experience. You're going to use them as training ground for you for when that real opportunity really does come. But don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
That's solid. All I can say is I agree. I just sprinkle my I agree on top of that. That's my 2 cents I'm going to give. But that's good. Wonderful answer. All right. So next question from Thrifty Wife. Tech industry is challenging. How do you manage staying on top of your busy schedules, life in tech, side hustles, and still find time to maintain your physical being? Yeah, because you look healthy. You look real. You look healthy, like you be in the gym, like you be working out.
Yeah, I still, I ran track in college, so I've kind of maintained.
Oh, yeah, you did. That's how you and Derek met.
That's how we met.
Yeah, I remember now.
You got it. So I try to maintain that running, and that's kind of that working out is kind of part of life. But you know what? Tech can be challenging, and especially when you start elevating in tech, right? When you're an engineer, you have one level of stress, one level of responsibility. Then you become a project manager, or you become more responsible for people. Then you got to manage people. Then you got a budget. You got a P&L to be responsible for. You got travel now, in addition to your day-to-day job responsibilities. So it does get hard, just like any other position, especially as you level up. I do think the one thing that has helped is just kind of blending in life in the middle of tech. For example, you're able to work from home. You got your computer at home. Well, cool. Now I'm actually home. I can actually be somewhat present. I can actually work out. I could take a conference call from the treadmill. I could be on the treadmill. I could be on the bike. I got my iPad, and I'm able to do other things, right, as I am working, right, or as I'm in a meeting that maybe doesn't require me to be as active. So I try to leverage those opportunities, and I'm a great multitasker. Listen, if you can't multitask, listen, something wrong with you, man. We got to get you firing on all cylinders. We got to get you some vitamins or something. But I've been able to multitask, I think, pretty well. So being able to now stand up a business, stand up those side hustles on my free time or in the mornings before I start work has been really helpful for me. But scheduling, building a schedule, and I actually merge my work calendar with my personal calendar and my business calendar. So I've got, business for an hour or two in the morning before my workday starts. I start work. I read for a little bit on the days that I'm able to get up on time. I read for a little bit. And then I take a little break during lunch. I do a little check-in on the business. And then I'm able to now get a little workout in a couple of days a week after work or even before work if I have that time. And then my weekends typically are time for family, typically time for things like that, to now be able to bring it all together, hit the reset button, hit recharge. But if you can get to an organization that has some really good work-life balance protocols in place, like my company actually has unlimited vacation days, unlimited, not 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 5 weeks, unlimited vacation days, bro. So last week I took off 2 days, 3 days, and I went to Savannah for a few days to go to do a real estate project, to go set up a new Airbnb, right? I didn't have to get it approved. It didn't come out of my paycheck. All I had to do was send an email a week in advance. That's it. Hey, I'm gonna be out these days. Boom, done. Right? So the type of organizations that are in tech, especially in fintech, typically have really good work-life balance protocols in place, where even if they don't have unlimited vacation days, they have more generous vacation allotments and things like that than your traditional organization. So get in the industry and use those flexibility and flexible working environments to your advantage.
Man, that's solid. That's solid. I definitely, my company doesn't have the unlimited, but even if they did, they are very generous. But honestly, knowing myself at this point, I'm not even really thinking about taking too much time off. I'm just trying to get my reps in, get my experience, all of that. So at some point in the future, when I'm at a company that has unlimited, I'll use some of it. But of course, the goal is to use it but not abuse it, type of thing. So they are trusting people.
Right.
Man, bro. Man, thank you so much, dude, for coming on. Man, I knew that this was going to be great because I was like, yo, man, Tez is very smart. He's bright. He's a senior in the tech space. I knew this was going to be very beneficial. Oh, see, one other looks like a question popped up. It may have slowed since COVID, but do you know of any tech events in Atlanta? Yeah, there are. Well, I know of some. I don't know if Tez probably knows of more than I do. Can y'all still hear me? Because I ended up hitting my headphones. Can y'all hear me? Okay, cool. All right. So I know. So first off, usually you can go to Eventbrite and you can look up tech events on Eventbrite. That's honestly what I did way before I was in tech, like 2 years ago. And I went to a few tech events just to my first tech event was a graduation event of people that did a coding boot camp, and they learned how to like build out an application or, an app. And so I went to that. So they have different events. You can go to Eventbrite, I think meetup.com. To find some others. And again, these are platforms that aren't necessarily catered to finding out about tech events. So I'm sure there are probably other platforms that are more tailored to finding tech events. Maybe looking on like Twitter or something. I know, like, I'm not even heavy on Twitter, but I've heard there are a lot of tech groups, even minority tech groups that are on Twitter and other platforms. So, and that's where I'll kind of submit it over to Tez for other things that he mentioned.
Yeah, bro, that's great advice. Number one. Eventbrite is a great spot to see local events and events that's going on in your industry, or even people that may see this later that aren't in Atlanta. Eventbrite is a great place to go. I mentioned Afrotech earlier. Afrotech is a great one for you to be able to mix and mingle with other people that look like us, that look like you, potentially in the space, which you don't really necessarily get a good opportunity to do on a frequent basis. So I love Afrotech. You can check them out on social media. Also another one, Atlanta Tech Village. Atlanta Tech Village hosts a lot of events.
That's what the coding thing that I went to was at. I forgot about that.
Bro, they host a lot of stuff. So Atlanta Tech Village is a good one. They've got a event actually coming up. Techspo is another event that's happening it's later in the year. It's like June 30th. That's going to be in Miami, but they also do events in Atlanta as well. So they got an event on the 29th in Atlanta. They got one on the 30th in Miami. So take a look at them. It's called Techspo.
I'm gonna be there.
Bet. So they got some good stuff. They got some good stuff in Atlanta. But if you just Google it, you'll see a couple things. And there's also, I don't know if you guys heard of the Gathering Spot. The Gathering Spot is a nice venue, nice networking event where people of color gather, not just in the tech space. They actually have a really good networking group. And then there's a tech event that they're going to be hosting there this summer as well. I don't have the date, but I'm sure if you go to their website, you can see it, the Gathering Spot. They're hosting a really good tech conference and tech event later this summer. I want to say it's in July. But I'm sure if we go to their site, you can find it. I'm actually going to be attending another tech conference coming up in Las Vegas in April. So April 26th through the 28th. I'll be attending the member forum. It's the PSCU member forum. I'm actually going to be speaking. I got a little fireside chat that I'm going to be doing, talking about financial technology and strategic initiatives and partnerships in the space. How can financial institutions make the right decisions when it comes to picking the right technology provider and technology vendor? So that's going to be the 26th through the 28th at the Bellagio in Vegas.
You said that's going to be in Vegas?
Yeah, in Vegas. Yeah, at the Bellagio.
Okay, I was about to jump and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go." I thought you said Atlanta. We said Vegas. I was like, "I don't know." Is that gonna be? That's gonna be in April?
Yeah, April. It's gonna be April 26th through the 28th. Yeah, it's gonna be in Vegas.
Yes, okay, yeah. I was pulling up the Gathering Spot thing. Once I find the dates for the event he's talking about, I'll make sure to drop that in the Patreon group, so y'all will be able to see that.
Hey, coming up on the 13th, there's gonna be a women in tech meetup on the 13th too at Atlanta Tech Village. So if there's any ladies in here that want to kind of be around some other females in the space, Atlanta Tech Village is hosting a women in tech event on April 13th.
Y'all, the women tech events are popping right now. Yeah. They are popping. So
it is.
Man, bro, so I definitely want to go ahead and wrap up, man. It kept you over time. You got a question?
Yes. Well, actually, every time it's more of a comment. Cortez, you don't know how God has used you on this call tonight. And when I could name every single thing that you said that touched me so deeply in my heart when it comes to loving your tech career and on the side, having a passion for your side hustle. And I really appreciate you just talking about that, because a lot of people hate their job and want to leave their job so bad, but can't, and do their side hustle, but can't because their side hustle is not making them a living. And I appreciate you saying that and being transparent and talking about that. And it just burns something in my heart. It's just confirmation for me, and just let me know that God can make something as a career just be so beneficial and so useful. And I really appreciate you talking about that, and also about taking advantage of being in a space like this, especially for us Black people, and just knocking the doors down and making it accessible. And Cyrus is already doing that, or just started doing that. And I really appreciate you saying that. And I am just so full, and I cannot wait for Cyrus to just upload this talk, and it's just so beneficial and so healing, and just so confirmation that God does want the best for us, for his children. And I mean, Cortez, and also I start my sales engineering course in a couple of weeks on the 29th. And you just lit a fire up in me. And I am telling you, I am so excited. I am so pumped and starting my courses. I just got hooked up with my mentor this week, and just doing research now on tech companies, on where I want to interview, and looking that up and looking at the starting salaries, everything. I have been soaking everything in. I've been on Indeed. Let me tell you something, and starting my LinkedIn page. I mean, I am fired up. I am ready to go. And just you saying, you don't have to have everything in your ducks in a row. Start interviewing now. Thank you so much for that. That's confirmation for me. Thank you, Cortez. You'll have no idea how you just blessed me. And Cyrus, again, thank you so much for creating this community. And I mean, this has just been wonderful, and this is just wonderful. I am blessed. I am blessed beyond measure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Definitely. Praise God. Yeah. Thank you, Tez. I agree with everything she said, man. I'm incredibly blessed. This honestly has been my favorite from the lives, even to the meetings I've done. And this has been an incredible blessing. This conversation blessed me so much that it like inspired me in terms of like, it's even lit a fire under me to be like, man, like really continuing to do this, really taking this serious in a big way. Cause this was beautiful. Really, man. So thank you so very much for coming on, man, for the nuggets that you dropped. I'm definitely going to be communicating with you on the back end, one, just to grow within tech, but also just, again, like get back to like a brotherhood, and this brotherhood not to be built on faith, but also with the tech community, brothers, all of that stuff. So, man, I'm grateful to God. Man, super hype, man. Thank you so much for being on, bro. I want to leave it with you. If there's anything else you want to share or say, whether it's about like your businesses that you're doing, or if it's about just something else you want to drop before we leave off of here.
Yeah, man. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity, man. I thought this was great. I love what you're doing. Love the platform. Just like our sister said, man, hey, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you taking that step and building this community, man. So unity, community, I love it. Keep doing it, bro. And for everybody else that's going to see this, that hears this, I appreciate each and every one of you. If you guys want to connect, my name is Executive Tez, executive_Tez on social media, on Instagram. So that's the best way to get in contact. If you guys want to collaborate, network, whatever, I'm an open book. Like Cyrus knows, like I'll tell you whatever. If you want to know, hey, what's good pay in the industry, or what is this, or how to get there. If I don't know, maybe I'll point you in the direction of someone who can help you or a resource. So I'm always open. So Cyrus, man, if you need anything, you feel free to reach out to me, or for the community or anything like that. I don't know. I don't have anything else to share. I'm blessed to be here. I'm honored to be on the stage with you, my brother, and look forward to collaborating and reconnecting with you.
Definitely, man. Well, I'll share one thing. He is also he coaches people on starting Airbnb. So if you want to start an Airbnb, he's definitely going to be my coach when I start my Airbnb straight up. So if you're looking into that, or if that's something that might come down the pipeline in the future, definitely connect with him on that end. And so, yeah, I just wanted to kind of at least give that shameless plug for you real quick. But thank you again for being on, bro. I'm going to go ahead and give your time back the rest of your evening.
All right, man.
You have a wonderful night. Everybody be blessed. Thank y'all.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.